game bookmaking. All you need is tickets and chalk. Change the prices, take money and win. Done our dough, chaps. We've done our dough.
I'd see
patronising attitude.
That's unfair. I would see betting shops return to laying bets as opposed to being mini casinos.
Hello and a big one welcome. It's the Bar Stewards. We're back for another sermon and we've got some absolutely burning topics for you tonight. Some terrific content for the show, some great questions from yourself, and as you heard there from the theme tune, a tribute to a Great of the Ring. Well, did that come out right? Great of the Ring.
Yeah.
Sounds like Lord of the Ring.
Yeah.
That's for another day.
There's a few of them, isn't it? Lord Alley's Lord of the Ring,
Yeah.
isn't it?
It's another show entirely.
It is.
Yeah, it's another subject entirely.
Yeah, we've started off on the wrong footing as usual, which is pretty normal these days. But anyway, going back to Barry, to me, coming into the game, he was one of the greats for me on the telly. Barry's Bismarck back in the day, all for TV, all for show, very loud in the ring, stood no nonsense if anybody would take big bets, loved big bets. To me, it's quite sad because this brings me back to my fun times in the game where the game was fun and really good to be involved in. And when you see clips like Barry Dennis in the ring and there's three females dilly-dallying in front of his joint, wondering whether to have a pound each way on Frankie, or they come up and say, "What's going to win, Barry?" And they just stand there gawping. And then after a while, he just tells them to get lost. He's like, "Come on, ladies, out the way, out the way." Fantastic character. And if you haven't seen that Barry Dennis video, I suggest you check it out. All you got to do is type in Barry Dennis onto YouTube and you'll come across this documentary on him, and it is very funny. That's where we stole some of his quote for the theme tune. Anything sort of stand out with you two regarding Barry Dennis over time?
No. No, it's just I never met, so I'm don't know. Yeah, he's colourful enough, wasn't he? He was he's of his time, wasn't he? He played that sort of, what's the word, that sort of coarse Essex barrow boy act really well, didn't he? I don't know how what he was like in real life, in quotes, but yeah, he played that very well, didn't he? And he's obviously good for business. So
well,
yeah,
the interactions with McCreary as well were quite funny on telly. So
yeah, they were.
It's good telly for me. I enjoyed it. John?
To me, it just illustrates how far we've come away from betting being an approved subject now, because that just wouldn't get airtime now, would it? Sadly.
No, it wouldn't.
I mean, they used to have the monkey business bet. You didn't win a prize or something like they do now. You actually won a monkey on something. And it was invariably struck with Barry Dennis. McCreary could go down and get paid out if it won. It's just...
I suppose where betting was the heart and soul of the programme, wasn't it? That you nailed it, John. Betting was key, and I think the previous iterations of Racing Courage acknowledged that, but now they don't, so you'd never get that back.
But there was another clip of Barry Dennis as well, which was quite funny. He says, "All I'm taking is pounds and £2 and £5." He says, "That's no good. Where's the grands? Come on, where's the 500s?" Imagine even saying that now.
No.
He didn't want people coming up having £2 on or a £5 each way on something. He wants people coming up having...
Yeah. You couldn't be a bookie on the telly now without saying bet responsibly, folks. Are you aware of our help button and all this shit?
Yeah. You'd have Carolyn Harris standing next to the joint saying, you sure you want to put a fiver on something?
That programme on YouTube that's like, is it like A Day in the Life or something?
Yeah.
And I remember when it was aired. In actual fact, he was living at the time like we all lived. You go flying off to the races after your bit of study on the morning. You're betting like hell, left, right and centre. You drive home busting every speed limit there is. You've got a bottle of whiskey and 2 litres of lemonade in the car. The steak and chips on the menu when you get in. You run through your bottle of scotch. You're up the next morning to do it all again.
Yeah.
And let's be fair, we were all living like that in the 80s.
Yeah, I mean, obviously now the game's changed so much in terms of form analysis, and there's a lot more nerds about that know plenty about the game, modelers, etc. So obviously we couldn't get away with it, what we did back then and what we knew. We'd have to put more work in, like to this day, as obviously the game's moved on in that respect. But the problem with that is because we've too many clever people in racing, That's what's caused this in a way. But
good job none of them are in key jobs, isn't it, really?
yeah, they don't want to play anymore. They don't want to play. But Barry Dennis did. So ending the tribute there. Thanks for remembering, Barry, because there were plenty, and it's a fondness of our past and the time that we enjoyed in the game. Right, moving on to the review. Of course, something rather large for racing happened on Saturday in terms of Champions Day. However, judging by some of your feedback, some of these chaps that have responded on John's question thread today ain't that happy with it. Jonathan Clayton says Champions Day just doesn't work. Neil Tolson is very angry that punters were shafted Saturday in terms of the draw on the sharp hurdles track, how that was going to play out. Going that was far slower than declared on the straight course. That was brutal on times, was the straight course. And we're talking proper Group 1 animals, and nothing, I don't think, got within less than just under 4 seconds of standard, John.
There's just so much wrong with this on so many levels. Tony Calvin highlighted through the wake it was impossible for punters to get a stick rating from Stickles. It was up in the air what course they were going to run on. The word was it had to be heavy in the going description. As far as I know, it didn't turn heavy, but they still switched tracks. It's run at a course that is a swamp by this time of year every year. It's not suitable for championship racing because they have to switch to a right-handed version of Chester. And if you wanted to run it round Chester, well, you're not interested in championship racing. And the trouble is, and I'll get scorched for this because, as you know, I'm a massive conspiracy theorist where gross profits tax is concerned. As long as they're getting the results, they won't give a monkeys about switching this back. They'll have seen that Champion Stakes as an absolute triumph on Saturday, I tell you.
Yeah, the powers that be, of course. Julie Harrington was in attendance on Saturday. I didn't see anyone try and get an interview with her in the media.
No, she's too busy dolloping out oodles of custard to school children. The woman's a superannuated dinner lady. Fucking joke. Honestly, nonsense.
How many dinner ladies do you know on 370 bags a year?
All right, okay, absent the salary, but the general, the woman's a fucking joke. I mean, anyone who says you can't judge by appearances is a fool. It's Oscar Wilde got it right. Only a fool doesn't judge by appearance. She looks ludicrous. She is ludicrous. As is, look at Carolyn Harris, your favourite, Lee, the MP with the purple hair and pink glasses.
And the chunky jewellery, yeah.
Yeah, looked like fat Timmy Mallett, didn't she, without the humour?
Yeah.
So, yeah, you can tell these people aren't
Dungarees.
serious people. Yeah, and this is what you get when you appoint idiots like that. Fools, all of them. I'll shut up now.
Yeah, no, well said. I like Steve Mustard as well. Steve Mustard's been on, and he said it's time to bite the bullet and move Champions Day to the cheese rolling course in Gloucester, John.
I think that's a fantastic idea, especially if they left the cheese out. I love a bit of double Gloucester.
There we go. Fantastic from Steve Mustard. That. So, is it time to move Champions Day then, John? If you're going to keep it in the calendar, what do you do? What you're in charge now? What are you doing?
Well, I don't think there was a lot wrong with what we had, where we had the Festival of British Racing at Ascot at the end of September. We had the Royal Lodge of the Fillies Mile and the QE2. And the Champion Stakes was pretty much a standalone race at the Cesarewitch meeting. Again, I don't think that would be a bad thing for starters to revert to that. They basically messed the back end of the season up with what they've done. It's a wreck, really.
I think the case for making the July course artificial and running it on that has quite a lot of appeal. I think then there's no bothering with ground, there's nothing. And that way you're going to get more fairly run races than what we saw Saturday. I think that was a complaint from many punters that I saw on Twitter, that it seems like you need to throw a six to get a clean run in some races. And
you couldn't come from the back on the round course.
No, it was tricky.
The first race, Kyprios and was it the Euphrates that he ran as well?
Yeah, that was the pacemaker, yeah.
Once they'd boxed them 2 slots off around that tight track, and you're going to have to go 3 wide to even challenge them.
Yeah.
And setting their own pace. I mean, that race was over after, 400 yards?
Spot on. I chatted to someone the other day regarding how much ground you actually lose on that hurdles track if you're wide. And it's one of the largest over hurdles that they've measured in the country for ground you lose. If you're 4 or 5 wide or, whatever, or trap that wide, it is very tricky. So it's not an ideal track to run championship racing. But then again, we can say about a lot of courses. You have like big events at Deauville, that's heavy on the draw. Longchamp can be difficult to come from a wide draw, certain trips. So I suppose every track has its problem for top class racing, but to me, it just doesn't seem right to be held there. I agree with you, John, that there's something that they have to look at this. The normal public might like this sort of thing, but for the betting purists, where we're trying to find an edge, we're trying to do what we do, it's not great stuff, is it?
Well, this is it. We're in a situation where the ruling body have no interest in anybody making it pay. So we're at a logjam as far as I'm concerned. They'll be telling you everything's wonderful about this.
I agree, and more on that later in the show. So Kyprios, but super stayer, one of the greatest stayers of all time, or just beating a consistently bad bunch, John?
Just beating a consistently bad bunch for me.
Right, yep.
How high can you rate him? 2 1/4 lengths, Sweet William. Come on.
Yep.
We had the ridiculous win at Longchamp 3 years ago, didn't we? Or whatever it was. You take that out, and what have you got to look at? No, not for me. I think the likes of Sagaro would have lapped him.
Well, I think the likes of Davis, who's contributed to Bar Stewards services and podcasts, will agree with you because he often says about Irish stayers and British stayers.
Yeah.
It's a different ballgame. So maybe that's just it. We just need something to challenge Kyprios maybe next year. Is he carrying on next year?
I wouldn't be surprised.
Is he now 6? I mean, he's only going to be a national stallion, isn't he?
Yeah.
He can't possibly be a flat stallion, although certain breeders I know would probably send flat mares to him because...
Moy Glare aren't exactly blessed with top notches at the minute either. I think they might be more keen to just keep him going and winning big races like the Gold Cup if they can.
Yeah, and why not? When the opposition is this week, of course, you do that. The Champion Sprint Stakes was an absolute slogfest. They finished in 94%. They were absolutely knackered and out on the feet. I thought the performance of Swing Along merited probably the moral winner. I know that's a bit harsh on Kind of Blue, but being on the pace in that race was brutal. Spycatcher was found out in the closing stages. Nothing much really got into it from out the back, though, which probably explains the holding ground. But I would take Swingle on. For me, that was the moral winner, I suppose. What was your take on that?
I'd agree with that. I thought Swingalong did exceptionally well on the front end. I got the feeling that Kinross didn't want to be there.
It's been a long season, hasn't it?
Yeah, I thought that was a gloomy effort from Kinross. And 7-year-old, I think that might be the last we see of him at that level.
Yeah, and I say long season. It's not like he's been on the go since March, but that was his 6th start since June. So it's one of them, like he's getting on now.
He did a race in France a fortnight ago. He was chasing a shadow, wasn't he? And
yeah, we were disappointingly wrong in the fillies, and Mares Calpana was very impressive, despite heckling from certain circles on social media regarding that we didn't like Calpana. When we recorded the pod, it was 15:08. It drifted out of 4-1 on the machine, 100-30 on track. So look, if we were wrong, then no one else wanted it. But what was perplexing to us was the really disappointing performance of the Argo horse, Sumaya. She was ridden handier, like you predicted. You said they would go handy, and so fair play to Chris Hayes, they did. But she didn't want a bar of it, John.
No, she ran like a lot of Dermots have recently, in all fairness. They seem to have a bad run in them at the minute. And then I noticed Elizabeth Jane won today after more or less collapsing last time. And I'm just wondering if maybe they get a bad run out the system and then he can start again with them, because I think that's what he's done there with that one. There's definitely something on being on his horses, for sure.
Interesting. Right, we move on to the QE2. Sharon won as favourite, beating Factor Cheval. Very strong performance, John, from the market leader in doing so. However, again, I do worry about the depth of our horses and the horses in general Tamfana recorded a time of 1:45.98. Carry the One was only half a second behind Charing in the Balmoral.
Yeah.
I mean, I know I'm a time lord. People say, shut up about time, you idiot. But, like, you'd like to have seen something a bit more solid on the clock, wouldn't you?
Of course you would. It's where we are at the minute, and if you take probably the Derby winner out, the 3-year-old situation this season has been pretty thin, I think.
Sorry to interrupt, but people have been saying about Charing about world's best miler, John.
Well, you'd be concerned, really. He's got beat twice this year. I know there were funny races, but, well, what is he, 125 tops?
I think that's pushing it, I'll be honest.
Yeah, world's best at that. There's maybe a spurious case for making him 125, but bloody hell.
I think to a degree, our own handicappers are flattering horses
Yeah, they are.
at the top end. And I think there's a reason for that. I think the narrative for them is there's no upside for them not doing so because they need British racing and our stock to look like they are the best.
Absolutely.
For example, Prague, which obviously we discussed on Friday as one of the worst £70,000 supplements that's ever been done.
Oh, that Powell lad.
Maybe he decided himself, I don't know, but I reckon the entire Cunha team are living the dream, doing a Brian Ellison sort of thing, because obviously he did actually make the frame with the white paws one, top-notch Tonto.
Yeah.
So, like, I genuinely thought there were a bit of that in it. But having spoke to a few people, we all thought he was a 33 shot. No, after time in here, we said this on Friday, no idea why it's 10s or 12 to 1. What a price to pay, because you had to finish third to make money. All right, fourth wouldn't have been a disaster. 61 back for your 70, less deductions. You're probably coming out with about 48. So it's not the end of the world. You've done in 22. But fourth, that's the only way you can get out of the race with any credit. And I know it sounds after timey to sermon listeners, but honestly, we were so against this in terms of the chance it actually had on paper. I feel sorry for, I don't know, if he decided himself, fair enough. It might have all been his decision. But if he was being convinced by the Cunha yard to do this as well on top, I think they'll not get any more owners on back of that. It's just an awful choice for me.
I was having that conversation with Hitler this afternoon.
Yeah, same thing.
Well, I said, it's all right being keen to make a splash and wanting runners in these big races. But if you pay supplements to get something in, and you're not a big yard, you've got to be right. Otherwise, you're just looking at chump.
Well, for me, if I'd have priced the race up and I'd have made myself a 5's chance, right, to win it, if you like the old system, 150 odds, 1, 2, 3.
Yeah.
Right? You're an even money poke to make the 3. I'm getting 54 bags for third, but with the added premiums of 248 for second and 655 for winning it, then I take the pot shot.
When you 33.
That's why I made it. I found it incredible they actually backed it. Talking about inflated ratings, that was the case I was making for how the BHA handicappers, they upped that £8 for beating Poker Face in a 4-runner race at Newmarket in the Joel Stakes.
Yeah.
£8 for that.
That day couldn't have gone any more right for him unless somebody had sent him flowers, could it?
No. Look at the distances beat, though. Like, they strung out like washing, which I always say when that happens, there's something wrong.
Yeah.
Horses like that don't often run that far below form, but when there's 15 lengths back to that last horse, there's something wrong about that race and form. So, yeah, I feel sorry for Connections there in a way, but look, we all make bad decisions. That was one of them. Now on to the champion. Anmar was the big shock for Indian Jim, who managed to finally secure a clean passage. And he says, John, he was the best horse in the race. Do you agree?
I think it'd be wrong to knock him so much. I don't think he was the best horse in the race. But I think he was one of them.
Yep.
I think there might have been a market overreaction to the flop in France. But then again, I probably overreacted to it myself by discounting him. So, no matter talk. Well, I put on our Twitter chat before the race. The way things were developing, I was very concerned about Calandigan getting a clear passage, and that was borne out in the race.
Yep.
I finished up with sage-like wisdom, switching to a hefty each-way bet on Iracine. confident in the knowledge that this one would be ridden handy, and drawn 3 or 4 it was, wouldn't be anywhere near the fence, only to see the last that was riding it get squeezed out at the start and then up for the last on the fence sit, which had me spitting feathers after 300 yards, because that had done me money there and then. I personally think Calandigan, Iracine are better than Anmat and would beat it 9 times out of 10 in a clearly run race.
Yeah, I'm going with that. And the reason I say Calandigan, I might have maybe some bias, because obviously I recommended an anti-purse at 3-1. I felt that Economics, as we've said on numerous pods, and had to pay out when he's been winning. But after the bleed at York and Maureen Haggis's ridiculous assertion that he'd hit his head on the stalls, obviously he's bled again in the race.
Yeah, in all fairness, we pointed out there and then when Maureen Haggis said that, why wasn't there a speck of blood on the jockey if he'd gone right through that race after a bang on the stalls?
Yeah.
That just bears it out, that when it gets tough at the business end like that, he's liable to pop.
Again, this is a bit more after time. Well, then we sort of did worry that Economics had an hard enough race in Irish Champion, and maybe it was a race too soon, John.
I said on the pod that Calandigan had 2 months, Economics had only had a month, and he's bled. So, I mean, he rolled him out for me. I wasn't having him.
It's one race we come out with credit with at the weekend. We didn't do too well, but it was certainly one race that I felt we did all right on in terms of where to steer people, but we still didn't get paid out. But Calandigan, I thought, was the best horse in the race, because I agreed actually with the Dixon on Racing TV at the time when he said, even though Matt got stopped in its run and had to deliver its challenge late, Calandigan got stopped a couple of times, and he's the sort of horse that comes with one withering run.
He's a rhythm horse, isn't he? He's not a burst horse.
No, once he gets going, you watch the International, and he really makes fantastic strides late. Obviously, never getting to City of Troy, but it's a really good engine he's got when he's asked to go. And I think having to stop, start.
See, for me, Lee, that's the worst place you can be on the fence when you got a horse like that, because you don't get any rhythm.
Some will disagree with these comments, and of course, that's your prerogative. You'll agree with India Jim that Anmart was the best on the day, which is all opinion, certainly not accountable in terms of fact. So we move on to the Balmoral. Carry the One is a trolling horse to the bar stewards sent by God, John.
Well, after the way things were going on the afternoon, it wasn't really a surprise to me that it figured, because I felt held up on the straight course wasn't such a massive disadvantage, especially once they jumped, because I felt Thunder Run and the other one, I thought they were cutting each other's throats to a certain extent. I think Thunder Run ran a wonderful race.
Massive race. Massive on the clock, John. On
Central. Yeah, couldn't praise Thunder Run high enough. And I wasn't surprised that horses such as Carry the One and Witch Hunter came from off the pace, and figured it was that type of brutal contest,
Yeah, I'd say to Thunder Run, well, he'd probably get sold now. He might not even be here next year. Probably be King Kong, Australia. But
he's a Queen Anne horse next year if he stays there.
Ryan's brilliant. Look, you can't question what Ryan Moore does overall, but I thought he got it a little bit wrong there. I think he just got the fractions wrong, and it proves it on the old data.
Definitely.
Had he probably been a little bit more patient, but I don't know, just took a lead, maybe sat third or fourth and just bided his time, I think we'd have probably seen him as the winner. He was proper emptying at the line, which suggests that Ryan definitely got over-egged the pudding a little bit. But then that was the confidence. We said on the show, Carl Burke said it'd win, said it was a well-handicapped horse off 100. I think that's proved to be the case, even though it didn't win. And the market also said the same.
The moral Balmoral winner.
Yeah, that. Racing stuff now. You posted a question. You've put National Hunt Trainers title, who gives a flying fuck. But who gives a flying fuck, John, about champions on Champions Day?
Nobody. The only people that care are the relatives of the combatants and the journalists. So it's such easy copy. They can just regurgitate copy from previous years and change the names if required.
Yeah.
It's absolute bollocks. It reminds me of daytime television, actually.
More meal you're thinking of. Remember that?
You know, you've got
Yeah.
This Morning,
Pebble Mill.
Burn Britain, or however the fuck it is, yeah?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
after every Christmas, the whale on 5 or 6 fatties that's going to do a weight loss program for 6 weeks.
Yeah.
Year
Yeah.
after year after fucking year. And it's the
Yeah.
same with this shit. It's born idle. It's not interesting to anybody. They're just regurgitating shite.
Yeah, but they're not journalists, so are they? They're just PR copywriters and bloggers. That's all they are.
Nobody fucking cares about these titles unless you're in with a shout of winning one.
Exactly.
You
Same
know,
with the Jockeys title. No one gives a fuck.
it means nothing to 99% of the trainers and 99% of the jockeys. It's bollocks. And yet it's wall to wall in the papers and on the telly.
Yeah, well, because they're so disconnected from their readership. The Racing Post and others who present racing think people give a fuck. They don't. Nobody cares. And the fact they don't realise that tells you
I
everything
think
you
we're
need to
all
know
sat
about
there
them.
in fucking O'Shane Murphy t-shirts.
Yeah. Or wear those stupid fucking scarves they wear at Cheltenham.
Racing League do. They want you to buy the attire, Northern Racing.
Fucking imbeciles. They're fucking imbeciles. Who the fuck will want to wear that shit? Nobody. Nobody would wear that unless you got something wrong with you.
So coming to the Apprentice winner, it was won by Sean Dillon Bowen, who came over from Ireland.
Yeah, tremendous for the Bowen family. Yeah, whoever they are.
Good young jockey. So we've got a question here from Jason Wally. Can you name an apprentice jockey who was flying and destined to be successful, but disappeared within a couple of years? He'll start with Carl Lowther. John.
Ooh.
You know, one of the early Crown Plus 2 apprentice champions, Paddy Young.
Paddy Young.
Yeah.
I think he won it 2 years on the spin. I could be wrong, but I think he did. That was it after that. You know.
Yeah.
Chris, anything
Well,
stick
I
out?
remember it used to be a really smart, John would know better than me, a Newmarket trainer called Bill Holden, right? And he had an apprentice called Ricky Morse, who was nearly 60 years old. And they kept him as an apprentice so he could claim £3 whenever they had the dough on one, which is about a couple of times a year. And I always remember that. It's this apprentice, he's like this middle-aged man. But somehow they twisted the rules because they needed that £3 and they never fucking missed when they had the dough on. They never missed. They had a horse called Very Special. I don't even remember. It was a dual purpose horse and it won up Boxing Day on Kempton, that sort of first race novice hurdler, and they had their bollocks on it. And they were a smart little outfit. I don't think they ever had more than sort of half a dozen horses, but yeah, they needed the time of day.
I don't think he ever rode his claim out, did he?
No, he didn't. He didn't. He didn't. That's the thing. It's like an elderly man claiming £3. Brilliant. No, he didn't.
Coming to that though, Sean Dillon Bowen come over from Ireland. At the Irish, Aidan O'Brien's won our trainer's title. Willie Mullins has won the national title over here. Sean Dillon Bowen came over from Ireland and has won the apprentice title.
Yeah.
Isn't it time, John, for 6% Siobhan Rutledge to make the switch?
Oh, absolutely. She's not getting the rides over there, really, is she? I mean, the
Not
O'Connells.
contenders, no.
No. She's getting a rich grounding in race riding.
Did you know she's had over 1,400 rides?
Yeah.
Right.
If she came over here and was riding horses with chances with a claim, dear God, somebody would be sweeping up.
Come on, you Irish listeners. One of you on this show must know Siobhan Rutledge. Tell her to make the switch. You've seen what Sean Dillon Bowen's done. You can do it and be champion apprentice girly of 2025 in the UK. There we go. Good question, Jason Wally. That another good question from you, John. Why are people still buying horses?
Well, yeah, we say every week the game's fucked.
It is.
And yet, the sales the last couple of weeks has just been off the ground, hasn't it?
Because the super rich are not affected by the normal economy. It's an economy within an economy. So they are absolutely insulated. So they're operating in a different kind of bubble than the rest of us. And we can look at that and go, who the fuck would buy horses? Well, they're not operating in our sphere, are they? They trade with a limited number of people of their own type throughout the globe. So, yeah, I mean, it's just whatever their personal whim is, I think.
Yeah, I can testify. I've had lots of fun in the game. I've enjoyed it. But it's cost me fortunes. I wish I had it back. If someone said, could you have celebrated all those winners you've had in your own colours and had all them days out, what would you do?
Fuck that, bollocks.
Give me the money back.
Give me it back. I want to do something else.
I don't want it.
Shit. Yeah.
I don't want any winners.
No, fuck them. Yeah.
If you'd spent it on hookers, the rash would only just be clearing up now.
Yeah. You could have a much better time, couldn't you? Loads of different things you could have done with it.
It's what's done is done. Any regrets? Yeah, plenty. Jamie Powell, John, you say he's been treated worse than Jesus.
I think so. I think Jesus got away late, though, but, that's another story.
Another podcast. Obviously, this comes about for the appeal from the Tony Martin team regarding the disqualification of the Cesarovic winner, which Jamie Powell appeared to hit the horse 10 times, but then they're arguing he hit him 9 times and one didn't make contact, and that in itself is the reason for the appeal. What are their chances, John?
Well, if the appeal proves successful and the VHA Elite Committee are proven to be unable to count to 10, which is what we're talking about.
There's every possibility.
We really have hit ground zero, haven't we? We might as well dig up Arnold Palmer and sit his cock there in judgment of everybody.
Pro celebrity golf.
That's an odd analogy, isn't it? Arnold Palmer's cock.
Yeah.
Well,
yeah.
it's a bit of a recurring theme on Twitter today, isn't it? Arnold Palmer's cock after the Trump speech.
Is it? I missed the reference.
Trump was doing a Q&A overnight. Instead of actually answering questions, he did 12 minutes about Arnold Palmer and finished off by saying, oh, and when he used to go in the shower with the other pros, they used to come out saying, oh, my God.
God, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, God. What a world.
And Trump's actually shortened up on Betfair.
Yeah. And like Arnold's cock, yeah.
Yeah, fantastic. Yeah. So another question now from Nathan Hull, followed on from bad luck from the bar stewards on the 2 Aga Khan horses for the last few weeks. Are there any trainers, jockeys, or even owners you've tended to not back with confidence or ignore over the years, either reason-based or that you just don't feel you just get them right? Any jockeys you don't get right, John, or just can't seem to get on with?
I would say not jockeys, no. I'm always very, very wary of backing Hannon, Shannon, and Meehan.
I thought you were going to say Cannon then.
Yeah.
Tommy Cannon, Bobby Bull.
They're yards. Everything they do seems absolutely alien to our philosophy as regards how you train racehorses. So,
what about Charlie Hills?
It's just, I couldn't possibly fail unlucky with him because I've just spent my entire life swerving him.
Are we wrong? Patrick Veitch has got loads of horses which he has in training with Charlie Hills, and he's part of the team. And I'm thinking, is this some kind of double bluff? Because Veitch thinks Charlie Hills knows his onions. I don't know.
Well, I mean,
it's weird, isn't it? I mean, you wouldn't think Veitch would be so obviously wrong, would you? So you got to think. I don't know. Is it Occam's razor that it's Veitch is right and we're wrong, or is there some sort of motive that we haven't quite kind of divined as a result of him putting horses in training with Charlie Hill? It's weird.
Has Veitch got horses with Charlie Hill?
Well, he's put horses in training. I think he's got shares in them. I think it's part of his Bloodstock consortium. Right. But Charlie Hills is part of kind of Veitch's sort of consultancy team, and he relies quite a lot on what Charlie Hills tells him. Now, I'm wondering why that is.
I wouldn't care if John Magnier moved in with Charlie Hills, hired him a cleaner, cooked him his breakfast every morning, and sent him 75 horses. I still wouldn't back jack shit coming out.
No, I agree with you. I agree with you. I'm just sort of offering an opposing view, but I have to agree.
Another thing I got told yesterday. I never knew this. I don't know if this is common knowledge and I'm just like under a rock, but because I haven't checked news or anything. But
I hope you check whether you're under a rock or not.
Well,
it's not always clear though, is it?
Valmont, the owners with Beckett, was white, blue sleeves, pink cap.
Yeah.
I didn't know that Terry Ramsden was involved in all that.
No.
Yeah.
Blimey.
Does that explain then why? And I'll say this because obviously I do get a fair bit of it passed to me in terms of horses, etc. Right? The Beckett yard is apparently really tight-lipped, incredibly tight-lipped. Hence,
Druids Lodge they are.
Honestly, the amount of horses I ever get sent from a Beckett yard be one a year tops. You're literally guessing on everything. Hence why they're getting newcomers that are available at 6, 7 to 1 in the morning. Unlike the old work riders at the other yards, that they've knocked it into 5 to 4 overnight.
Send me money, sir. It went already. I need to feed wife and children, please, sir. Yeah,
that.
Yeah, it's quite.
The Beckett yard appear to be keeping a very tight ship on their runners, and that could explain why, could it not, chaps? Is that a reason? That old Terry's going on somewhere in Jaipur or something like that?
Just extraordinary how he's managed to get money. I mean, wasn't he? So didn't he go to jail, bankrupt, fucking name was shit? And it just amazes me how these people manage to rise from the ashes time after time. That's the great skill. I would love to ask these people, serious question, all these people have gone under and sunk and gone, a year later, they're back flying again. How do they do it? What's the secret? That's what we really want to know.
It's always limited companies, though, isn't it? So,
well, I don't know. They go to jail. They fucking get fined. They may be made bankrupt. Whereas creditors should be crawling all over them, but they still manage to find a way back. And I just don't know how they do it.
One more question before we go on to the topic. Here's a serious question for you all. We've heard about losing runs, but how do you cope with winning runs? Oh, I struggle.
Wouldn't fucking know. Well, winning runs.
You're very funny on this. When you feel like Jesus every time you place a bet, how do you stay in control in that scenario? I think what Rap Podcast is trying to say is how do you keep the ego in check when things are going that well? I know what he means, but I don't know what he means this year. Been pretty barren this year, but overall, I think when you have one of these mega runs where you just shit him, win it, and every punter has that feeling now and again where it's 8-1, 6-1, 5-2, 6-4, couple of losers, then another winner, and then another winner, and these runs do happen, and I think it's the same. I think you've just, to me, it's no different. I know what's coming. The old Roy Hodgson gift. That's what's coming. Disappointment. You know in the end that the game gets hold of you on the bad times. So unlike a lot what you see on Twitter, the boomers, I never get excited after a few winners or doing really well because I know what's round the corner. There's disappointment. Is that right, Chris?
Gloom and despair are never far away, are they?
Well, that's it. It's the great game of variance and balance. Whereas if the gambling gods are saying, you can have this, but we're going to take this next. It's a path and it's a journey. And I think variance is a big part of it. You could have a massive slice of luck one year. Like you said, Chris, when you've done articles on luck, etc. You've sort of said that it belongs to certain people, just get it. It just seem to have a long patch of it. Other people have none. And it's just random. There's some people that just are or have more of the luck in. Yeah.
Some people are just simply more fortunate. That's they say luck evens out in the end. But when is the end? That's the point. Is it 100 years? Is it 500 years? Well, most people don't live that long. So I think some people are just intrinsically luckier than others.
It is. Infinite is the right answer. You've even said it. You could literally have a life full of terrible luck from start to finish.
Yeah, I fucking know that. Yeah. Fucking hell. I went for bad luck, wouldn't have any luck at all.
Yeah, and talking of bad luck, let's come on to the Irish. They're having some bad luck here with the gambling ads bill that's been brought in, a new draconian measure, which simply has put the Irish racing industry on the back foot and also jeopardised the racing TV deal, which has probably quite lucrative for Irish racing. Has to be, because they've obviously outbidded Sky Sports Racing for the Irish coverage. So, to explain what it is, they are going to ban gambling advertising in Ireland from 5:30 a.m. till 9 p.m. at night. And to clarify at some points Sky Sports have addressed, Sky Sports Racing have agreed to do a different feed to Irish racing in terms of advertisements. So no bookmaker advertisements will appear on their feed compared to ours. I'd much rather have Chums adverts, to be honest. New pair of Chums.
Yeah, or funeral care. That's what we want, more of that.
John, they'll get more of the man in the bath, won't they?
I certainly hope so. It needs to be shared around a bit.
Yeah, they've had some bad luck there. This is where I'm at. So Racing TV have said they can't continue if this applies, which is likely to be implemented in 2026. I don't know when Racing TV deal ends actually on that. But they say they can't afford to implement the separate feed. They don't have the resources to be able to do that. Whether that's bollocks, we don't know. But obviously, Racing TV, despite what everyone thinks, even though they're a subscription model, are sponsored by bookmakers. So in that instance, it creates problems. Now, I have massive problems with this bill because we've said this on the show many times. Chris, look at vaping, for example, right?
Yeah.
It is not allowed to be advertised on TV if it contains nicotine, right?
Yes.
So there's no vaping advertisements. Does it stop kids vaping?
No, of course it doesn't. You know, I mean, any kind of prohibition doesn't work. You know, where you have a public appetite for a certain activity, whether that's legal or illegal, it doesn't matter. People will continue to find a way to do it. And so, you know, all of these kind of all ban advert. I mean, who has gone into gambling and thought, you know, I've seen an advert, fucking hell, I might to get into gambling. That looks fun. No one does that, do they? You know, it's particularly not sports betting. I think, and I think the failure to differentiate between sports wagering in casinos and slots is you know, is the cause of where we are at the moment.
Yeah, the BHA have been despicable on this. John, what purpose does this serve, given that the evidence over time is you're not going to stop people using cocaine, you're not going to stop people using heroin, you're not going to stop people betting wherever they can. And a recent incidence of this was 2 children that stole money out of the parents' bank accounts to play on crypto slots. Underage kids in the UK, they did the lotting, and obviously the aunties have got hold of that. But it shows you that you can't police crypto. It's not possible to police it. So what on earth are these measures for?
It's for the handing in brigade to spout forth that they're actually doing something. They don't care whether it has any impact or not. It's just something else that can put on the CV that they've had brought in.
But they don't realise that this destroys jobs and obviously sends racing around about.
They don't care about the big picture. They just care about improving their status and taking the moral high ground.
Totally ridiculous. I agree. And I mean, if you think, well, it's just affecting Ireland, don't be fooled that we won't be seeing this here, because usually when other countries do it close to us, then don't worry about this. They'll be looking at this and certainly considering this. This will be high on the agenda in terms of British racing. And will ITV racing be able to continue? The only reason that ITV racing exists is, of course, because of gambling advertising during the breaks. So take that out. ITV will not be interested in racing's product. These are serious issues going forward, which you have to look forward. It's not about now, it's about looking forward what could happen. Chris Poole has said, not racing, but this passed me by at the time. It's about snooping. And there was an article he picked up in The Guardian regarding snooping in people's bank accounts that are trying to cheat benefits fraud, so to speak. John, what's your take on this snooping? The way of legalising that they can just get your bank account information and data and stick their hand right in your satchel, John.
Little by little, step by step, we're having our rights and privacy removed. The move away from cash transactions for all our purchases to be monitored, to how much we're betting, where we might be getting money from that they don't know about, that they want to tax. They genuinely now want the lot. The ones us with enough to get by to feed ourselves, buy some soap so we don't stink when we're going to work. And that, as they say, is that. They don't want us having any extras. They want the lot of us.
Yeah.
And unless there's a stand at some point in the very near future, they will fucking well get it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Couldn't agree more. Yeah, it's gone. You know, we are now sort of like caged animals, aren't we?
Yeah.
Doggedly pacing our cage, convincing ourselves that somehow everything will be all right and the zookeeper will let us out one day. They won't.
No, they've got the grips in us. And sadly, Phil Bull states, why are the majority of racing media going out of their way to ignore the statement from Martin Cruddas, arguably one of the most powerful people in the sport right now, in terms of what hold he has in terms of media rights, the track who he works for in ARC. And he states that by not separating online slot gambling from horse racing is commercial suicide by the powers that be. I know for a fact if me and John were there, there'd be statement after statement on this, and we'd be going out to the press, the mainstream, we'd be defending racing's case absolutely to the max. So why did the BHA not do it? Is it because of the slots chairman, or is it for other reasons? Are they all on the way out and don't care? Are they just useless? The three questions that were posed there on the BHA.
I think you've got the three answers there.
Yeah, the media, of course, we've got prominent writers like Matt Chapman, Nick Luck, who does the great show on Sunday, Luck on Sunday. It's a good show. They're all good at what they do. The problem is they've taken the bookmaker pound.
Yeah, it's like Lord Haw-Haw, isn't it? It's like a weekly communication from Lord Haw-Haw.
Yeah.
You know, High Holborn calling.
Yeah. Put it into layman's terms, it's like you're taking, say, £2,000 payment a month off someone, right? And then slagging them off on social media.
They're not going to. Yeah, you're not going to.
Not going to do it. No one's going to do it. That's the idea of us not taking the book, and much to your disappointment, Chris.
Yes.
but that's it.
Germany calling,
Yeah,
yes.
Yeah.
Give up Allied forces, yes.
So that's where we're at. And that also is represented in wider society, where we've got politicians on all sides. It isn't just this government, it was the previous government in spades as well, that see governing as a way of a little nest feathering here and there. And that therein lies the problem. You're not serving the people, you're serving yourself, which is not supposed to be the idea of a member of parliament. But when has it ever been the idea of a member of parliament to serve the public and not themselves? But there we go. So that's where racing finds itself at. I'm afraid Chris Paul's sentiments about snooping, etc., all applies. Right, some funnies to finish the show. I've enjoyed this one. Some great questions. I'm sorry if I've missed a question. It's been quite difficult to do them all. Bert Doncaster's been on. I like this one. He says, which one skill do you wish you had that you really haven't? He says he's always been gutted he can't wolf whistle. you get arrested for that now.
Yeah.
But fucking hell, walking down Doncaster High Street.
Six-fist dirt.
Mind you, wouldn't be a lot to whistle at, would there, to be honest? He wouldn't fucking need
it.
No,
he's got no teeth. He's going to hate us now. No, it's a good question. It's a funny question. For me, I'll tell you what it is, and I am jealous of my good wife, the producer. She's a very good hula hooper. And I've always wanted.
You could fucking eat more hula hoops than she could.
Yeah.
Don't hide your light under a bushel. You could fucking destroy her.
Yeah, that's actually true, especially beef one. Beef hulas are a nap.
If it came down to it, mate, I think you could do a box of hula hoops.
Yeah.
Fucking catering pack. Yeah.
That I like it. Start spinning it around. I do about 1.5. And then it just drops to the floor.
Can you get it over your head?
Yeah.
That's the thing. I couldn't.
No. So that for me, John, there must be some skill that you haven't. You just wish you could have.
When I was a kid, I could never pick up skateboarding. And
I was shit at that.
Everybody else in my little group as a kid was shit hot on skateboards, and they got skate parks and that. And I was the one sat there on my bike watching them, thinking, "Fuck it."
Yeah, I would say I was same. I even got one for Christmas, and then the first day I went down straight on it, fell off, and that was that.
Yeah, I
Was it
had a
wooden
couple
one or
of falls,
plastic
and
ones you
I
had?
didn't want to know.
That's it. Fuck that.
Yeah, fucking shit. Yeah.
Chris, you must be wishing for one skill.
No, I'm highly skilled at everything. So there's no part of my life that is deficient in any way. Money management, that would be me.
Yeah.
I think I'll be better at handling money. That's one skill, which I think, and it is a skill, and it's a skill I've never developed, and I fear that's what I would like to have done.
I'll be honest. I think 95% of people fall in that category.
Yeah.
Honestly, that's not something that you should single yourself out as well. It's just me, or that there's absolutely loads of people that just fail badly at that. And
Yeah.
I'll tell you what, I've never had the right spend and save balance. It's all spend, you know.
Yeah.
You know,
See shiny object, buy shiny object.
earn it, spend it, live it. There's some people in life that have that fantastic balance of being able to say no. Like when you've got it, think, that trip to Dubai first class and have a week there and blow it. You blow the good run winnings. That's me. Or buy a racehorse. Like an idiot.
Haven't you noticed, Lee?
Yeah.
Every one of those people who have the balance right happens to be an out-and-out cunt.
Yeah, pretty much. I'll go with that. Yeah.
So if you're all listening to this, if you have this balance right, where you've got like tons in bonds,
don't even listen anymore.
Yeah, fuck off.
Yeah, fuck off. Yeah.
Yeah, you should spend it. Cookers, anything. That's it. The world. Sit on the spoon somewhere.
Have a bet if they'll let you.
It's a great question, that, Bert, as usual. Thank you. Final question to finish the show, as always, is with Samuel the cat. So he said, the Barstewers listeners are in need of a mind expansion and some sort of inspiration. Need some inspiration from you guys. Who better than you two, right?
Everyone. Yeah.
Especially as racing's gone shit, but not totally shit. No, that's us. Which famous people in history, or a book, or a film, do you advise for people to study or have a look at? And he says the lesser known, weirder stuff is sometimes better. Chris, I'm saving you till the end because I reckon. No, but you read lots of shit.
I do. I do.
There must be something that you can think of now that on a down period you think, right, I'm going to read this because it's fucking good. So I'll come to you in a second.
We can't say Mein Kampf, can we? No, we can't say that.
You said that me and the producer watch all Hitler stuff on history.
Yeah, I do. Yeah, do you know one thing I did know, which is absolutely true, that Mein Kampf isn't generally or universally regarded as being solely Hitler's work. There's a lot of evidence to suggest that he's actually penned by other people in conjunction with Hitler. So real kind of National Socialists discard Mein Kampf in favour of something called Hitler's second book. Right, which you can get from Amazon, and it's a sort of a compilation of sort of table talk that Hitler recorded over a number of years, and that's meant to be the authentic view of Hitler. Ooh. So if you're into the Second World War, that's definitely worth checking out. And it's certainly I learned about that a couple of months ago. So have a
producer would fallen asleep then, and all of a sudden ears pricked up like one hit in front after at last. Ears pricked. That were like producer then when you mentioned that.
Hitler's second book. I heard her heels clicking together. She stood upright, arm thrust ahead in a Roman salute.
Yeah. We recorded Hitler's Secret Island on Alderney, which we never knew about. No. We didn't know he had a secret island.
Good gosh. I'll have to have a look at that.
Yeah, he was on Alderney during the World War II. Yeah, he had his own...
We came so close to victory, yes.
Yeah, might still be there.
Yeah, yes, quite, anyway.
Yeah, John.
A couple of books, really. Obviously, 25 Minutes to Save the West by Liz Truss. Anybody a good grounding of the political situation on the planet at the moment.
Yeah.
And I think Neil Kinnock by Eileen Jones, the autobiography, because that would probably illustrate how a centrist mediocrity can become a multi-millionaire by achieving absolutely nothing in life.
And his old woman as well, fucking Glynis, and the son too. Scumbags.
I've not really anything to inspire anyone.
There's nothing to inspire out there, is there?
I just haven't. I like me shitty films and
Yeah.
stuff like that, but they're all like films that you'll just take piss out of me for. So
No, you won't. Go on. Reveal something of yourself. Go on.
well, pick me up films like Highlander and Rounders.
That's all right.
It's just
They're just like bubblegum for the eyes, isn't it? Sometimes you need that. Or in fact, a lot of time you need it nowadays. You just need
yeah.
something to sort of kill an hour or two.
Yeah, but then again, I'm into lots of weird shit, conspiracy. I like to open my mind
Blizzard,
and think,
Big Bob, that's what we want to hear more
yeah,
of. Yeah, I like that. Yeah,
well, yeah, I've read lots of stuff on shit like that. And,
Yeah.
and look, if 97% isn't true, then it doesn't really
No, it
matter. But if
doesn't.
the 3%,
Yeah.
the 3% that is, we're intrigued, and that's the thing. It can't all be rubbish.
No, absolutely not. I agree.
Much of it will be, but that's why everyone should open their minds and certainly look into things that they think previously weren't possible. That's how I open my mind sometimes in moments of despair.
Yeah.
So, Chris, have you anything outstanding other than your?
Do you know, I think I'm very much of your mind. I think, the society, I think we're all fucking doomed. So the best you can hope for is a short period of respite. So films that cheer me up, something like With Nail and I think that's a tremendous film with Richard E. Grant, Paul McGann. I think
Great show.
it's just funny. It's just stupid. And I think it never fails to deliver a boost in mood. So I'd recommend that. I don't think there's, people can point to lots of inspirational texts, but frankly, unless you've got the gumption to go and apply the methods that those motivational texts sort of recommend, if you were the sort of person that would benefit from that, you wouldn't be reading those texts. And I think all these self-improvement books are great. You feel pumped up for about 10 minutes afterwards, and the moment fades, isn't it?
Yeah, by about 8 p.m. tonight, that's me,
Yeah.
Richard E. Grant.
Yes, good.
Talking shit, etc. As we do on this show, which I hope you've enjoyed. And I know for a fact, it cheers us all up, me, John and Chris. We've not had the best of weeks punting, but like the great game, it means next week we might have a good one. So we'll be back next Sunday with a special edition, by the way. So no questions required for next week. We're doing a Racing Desert Island Discs Part 2, which I think you'll find very entertaining.
Yes.
Because we've got the other bar stewards selecting their tracks, which I'm sure that me, John and Chris will rip into.
Yeah, they're all going to be shit, aren't they? Let's face it. We know that in advance.
Yeah, a bit of fun next week. We have a lot of racing politics, which is sort of depressing in certain areas. So a bit of fun next week. Cheer everybody up. And hopefully you can listen to some good tracks.
I've put money on we've got Mott the Hoople fans amongst our team.
Can't wait for all the selections to come in. I've not had them all yet. I've had some, and I know what certain contributors to this show I've selected as their songs, so it should be a cracking show. So don't forget to tune in next week, same time. That's all from us. Bye for now.